Hey everybody, my name is Tasha and welcome to Candied Little Yams. This is my 2-week postpartum update. So to start off, I will talk about my mood swings. I do have notes here on my broken iPhone. I have been very hormonal. Like I can go from like, oh, I'm in such bliss to like, oh, I hate you and everyone else. Really just the father of the child. And I think that's just so hormonal because he is exactly the same person he's been since I met him, and I love him, but sometimes I hate him. I don't know, it's definitely hormones, and I know that I don't really dislike him. I went through the same thing when I was pregnant. It's so strange and I hate that it happens, but it's like I hate everyone, and I guess I would hate other people too if they were around me as much, but since he's around, it's just all this energy of hate goes towards this poor man. Sorry, I love you. Also, when I was eating a lot of soy, they said like not since I've been pregnant, it's been years since this happened. So a lot of soy, they said it mimics estrogen, and you have estrogen receptors here on your chin, and so you get a lot of hormonal breakouts there too, and that's what the soy breakouts would be. They itch and they were tiny bumps and they were all right here. And I had terrible acne. Right now, postpartum, during my pregnancy, I had the most perfect skin that I've had my whole life. Now that I'm not pregnant, all the hormones are all crazy, and I have that hormonal itchy breakout thing going on right here. It's so gross, and I don't know what's going on with my face. In another video, in the baby update, I talked about an ER trip that I took, and the stress caused my bleeding to pick back up heavier than it already had been, which, you know, your bleeding is supposed to subside, but if you work out too much or do too much physical activity or go through a stressful event or something, your bleeding will start over again, and mine did after that ER trip. It was probably the rushing around, hopping into the ambulance, hopping out, carrying things that were too heavy. I had went on a walk around the neighborhood the day before. Anyway, it started back, but now it's waning again, so everything is good. It wasn't enough to go to the hospital. It wasn't bright red. I wasn't having clots larger than the size of golf balls, and I was not filling up a pad every 30 minutes. That is when they say you need to go to the hospital, and none of that was happening, but it did get heavier, and I was disgusted and sad about it. Secondly, I did have stitches. I had a 2nd-degree tear. With the ibuprofen that they prescribed, it wasn't that sore that I couldn't like function. Like I could carry on with my daily activities, but it was sore, and that whole area is kind of not as sore, but it went from sore to itchy. It was so itchy. They don't tell you that. TMI, they don't tell you that. It itches like fire ants are biting your cucaracha. Like, I think that's cockroach. Anyway, it itches and burns, and they say that that's the stuff, your skin and stuff waking back up, or that's from when it stretched all out all crazy and whatever. Anyway, secondly, I ran out of the hospital pads that they gave you. I still wear the mesh underwear. I love the mesh underwear, but I ran out of the hospital pads, and I started using Stay Free overnight maxi pads. Now that the bleeding is a little bit lighter, I still need that protection, like that huge pad protection. Like I need the length and I need the width, because the area from which you bleed is an abyss, and it is large. It's large. I'm sad about it, but blood and stuff comes out from every which direction, and it will gush, and you don't know where that gush is coming from or where it's going. Anyway, I didn't need the maxi pad protection. I didn't need the thickness. Thank goodness Stay Free makes a thin version, so I have the thin ones, but I still have the overnight length and width and protection, and I love them. And the cotton weave is great. Don't use always, because I had to use them for a couple of days before I could allow myself to go to Target and get some more, and the weave on top of the always is sticky, and it touches things and pulls stitches, and it's uncomfortable. Don't use those. I made it out of my pregnancy without stretch marks on my belly. Not such a great thing because I didn't get that big, and I don't know how much I weigh either. I will tell you that when I was first pregnant, when I first found out I was pregnant, I weighed 149. At my last prenatal appointment, I weighed 156. In between that time, I lost about 9 or 10 pounds, maybe more, because I don't have a scale at home. I don't know what happened between that time, but I lost at least 9 pounds. I went down to 140 at a prenatal appointment, and then I went back up to 156. So I didn't have any stretch marks because I didn't get that big, but when you don't get that big and you don't gain that much weight, you have tiny babies, and that can cause problems. Well, you don't have to, but I did. My baby was 5 pounds 2 ounces, and she could have had major problems. Thank goodness she was healthy. So, and belly binding. A lot of people talk about wearing ace bandages and wrapping stuff around your belly. My belly is going down just fine on its own, I think. I may regret this, but I don't feel like binding my stomach. I don't feel like wearing crap around me right now. Like, I am tired. I am breastfeeding. I have stitches. I am mad at the world, and I am hormonal, and you know, I'm just trying to eat and poop without it hurting and stuff. Like, I don't want to wear nothing around my stomach, so I'm not doing that. Anyway, also, when I went on a walk with my sister one day around the neighborhood, I probably shouldn't have done that because, like I said, the bleeding came back. I noticed why they tell you not to be doing stuff, because my ab muscles were so weak, and also the ligaments in my hips that stretched before I had her, they still very loose, and I can't really control my legs all that well sometimes. It's like one of those people that are just like, yeah, that's how my legs feel sometimes, because the ligaments aren't like tight yet. So I see why they tell people not to work out and, you know, not to be doing all types of crazy stuff. So that was interesting. And like I mentioned in my first video, my 1 week postpartum update, I didn't have a trouble with, they said the first poop is so bad and blah blah blah, and I know I felt the doctor put a stitch in my booty but my first poop wasn't that bad. The second poop though, when I wasn't eating as much fiber, hemorrhoids, yes, it was painful, and I was taught in my life as a young woman, you need a hand mirror and you need to look down there and see what's going on. So I looked down there, and yes, hemorrhoids are real, and I have witch hazel pads, and like a day or two they kind of shrunk up a little bit or whatever, but now it's a little harder to poop, but we're making it. It's okay. But that is it for this update. I hope you enjoyed this postpartum update. A lot of people said they like my honesty and my transparency, so hopefully I didn't let you down, because I don't have a filter right now. I don't have the emotional bandwidth or the energy to have a filter. So if I'm going to make these videos, it is my natural mode of operation to just let things fly out of my mouth the way that they come to my head. So that is what is happening in these videos. It is like what do they call it, train of thought, or I can't think about what it's called. Anyway, that is it. Goodbye.